Museum of Goa is a museum which tells stories of Goa, histories of Goa using contemporary art. It is a unique museum in the world where contemporary art is used for narrating history. Usually, if you go to any history museum of the world, you will see old sculptures, text, and many other old artifacts which are used to present history. But here, we use contemporary art as an idiom to present histories. This work is a very good example of how I use contemporary art to present histories of Goa. The Portuguese conquered Goa in 1510 from the Adil Shah of Bijapur. They were actually invited to take over Goa by some of the Goan merchants and by Timaya. And they conquered Goa, and these people who invited thought that they will hand over the charge to them and leave. And then they will give some money every year. But then the Portuguese stayed for 450 years. Their main agenda, apart from the control of trade, spice trade, was to convert people to Christianity. So they started breaking temples and building churches, and they kept a record of every demolition of every temple which they demolished. And the Hindus carried their gods in the rivers, Mandavi and Zuari, and these two rivers meet in Kumbarzua, in Ponda. And new temples were set up, some small huts perhaps at that time, and that is why all the temples of Goa are in Ponda. The reason is the two rivers meet in Ponda. Even today in Ramnathi and other places, when the palanquin of God is taken out every year, the first honor to carry the palanquin goes to the boatmen of Adpai. That's because their ancestors had carried gods to safety. And they don't just carry the palanquin, they rock it like a boat in memory of flight of gods 500 years ago. In Bible, there is a story of Noah's Ark where God intervenes to save mankind. In Goa, man intervenes to save gods. So this is Goa's Ark. I must, however, add one small corollary to what I just told you, the story of how temples were demolished, churches were made. This happened more than 500 years ago. We should have nothing against the present-day Catholics or the present-day Portuguese because they have nothing to do with what happened at that time. History should be known, but that should not result in some kind of animosities between communities. We have to all live together as friends and as brothers and sisters. Museum of Goa is very happy to present this exhibition titled Posthumous Dialogues with Francis Newton Souza, which is curated by Sabita Sachi, this is one of the most important exhibitions the museum is presenting, and in honor of one of the greatest artists India has produced. Francis Newton Souza was born just half a kilometer away from this museum in the village of Saligaon. He spent his childhood here, but then he went to Mumbai and then went to London and to New York and became one of the greatest artists of this country. And unfortunately, most people in Goa are not aware of this great artist. This exhibition is supported by Raza Foundation. And Francis Newton Souza was a very great friend of Raza. And Ashok Vajpayee, who heads the foundation, decided to support this exhibition, and Sabita curated it. It has many important artists. We have Sudhir Patwardhan, we have Vivan Sundaram, we have Madhusudanan, we have Atul Dodia, and we also have a lot of young artists from Goa and other parts of the country. I'm going to give you a little tour of this exhibition and talk about a few works. Souza painted anguish. He painted brutalities. And this work by Sudhir Patwardhan is three bodies in horizontal position. Unclaimed Bodies 1, 2, and 3 is the title of this work. These are a set of 5 drawings by Madhusudanan. Madhusudanan lives in Kerala, and he has been exhibiting in many parts of the world in many important exhibitions, and his line is very, very beautiful. His line is as beautiful as Souza's line. This is a work by Souza, my sister. She is definitely one of the great charcoal artists of the country, and a portrait of Francis Newton Souza. Viraj Naik is definitely one of the most important contemporary artists of Goa. His work is definitely influenced by Souza. Viraj did his graduation from Goa and then his post-graduation from Hyderabad, and was a student of Lakshma Gaud. So Lakshma Gaud, his teacher, was very influenced by Souza, and so is Viraj. And Viraj does the hybridization of human and animal bodies. This is my work. This is Jesus Christ. Souza did a lot of paintings of Christ, and Souza perhaps thought that he himself was Christ. That's what comes out when you look at his drawings. So I have created this sculpture of Christ with copper, and I think the anguish of Christ comes out of this. I have been engaging with Souza because of this exhibition, Posthumous Dialogues with Francis Newton Souza, for more than last 1 year. And I have done more than 500 plates in terracotta and ceramics. So these are some of these plates. I have used all kind of things to create a kind of a grotesque look, the looks of anguish, which is a very important feature of Souza's portraits. And here I have used thorns of fish bones, and tires to create the mouth. The mouth was one of the important features of Souza's works. This sculpture is by Santosh Moraskar, another important artist from Goa. This is, I think, a very iconic piece in this exhibition. Santosh does his sculptures on which he makes drawings with pencils. Now this looks like a lizard, a chameleon perhaps. But if you observe him closely, the head of the whole body of the chameleon is like a penis. And Souza drew a lot of erotic stuff, and Santosh Moraskar is also an erotic artist, and that comes out through this work. These are portraits created by Viraj Naik. They're in oils. Viraj has done many portraits of this kind, about 40 of them. These are drawings by one of the most celebrated artists of India, Vivan Sundaram. He was also a nephew of Amrita Shergill. These works are created by Vivan when he was about 20, way back in 1965. And he went to Khajuraho, and he bought a catalogue of Khajuraho, and he made his drawings on these catalogues. The ink drawings done with crocodile nibs on Khajuraho catalogue. Khajuraho, as you know, there are erotic sculptures there, and Souza was also sort of connected with a lot of eroticism. And one of the interesting features of this is the forward, which he has altered. There is a forward for the catalogue, which he says re-forward, and he has written his own text on it. Charudat Pandey is the youngest artist in this show. He lives in Pune, and actually I had given an award for one of his works in Ahmedabad in a competition, and that's how I noticed his work, and I found that he could be very suitable for this exhibition, and I spoke to Sabita, and she liked his work too, and that's how we have this kind of grotesque portraits created by Charudat. We are also very honored to have works of Atul Dodia in this exhibition. Atul Dodia is again an artist who has shown all around the world, including the Tate Modern. And during the COVID, he did about 350 paintings, and the exhibition of the selected ones is happening at Kiran Nadar Museum in Delhi. And these 3 works are from the same series. These are some pictographs created by Viraj Naik. These works have a very interesting story. What he has done, he has juxtaposed some photographs from old Goa with photographs from Rome. For example, in this particular work, the dog who is just lying next to a next to a stone is from Old Goa, and the dome which you see on the top is from a church in Rome. The same thing happens here. Here, the sculpture of Christ is from Rome, and the altar which you see is from Old Goa. In this work, again, the sculpture is from Rome, and the stray dogs are from Old Goa. These are works of C.G. Krishnan. She hails from Kerala and is definitely one of my favorite artists in this exhibition. C.G. has made these portraits which have a lot to do with her own autobiography, her own life, and she lost her mother at a very young age, and her father was both her father and her mother, and so she has actually drawn her father with breasts. And in another work, you see the father is breastfeeding her. So the father is reclining on a tree, and then the little baby, the artist herself, is in a way breastfeeding. Very, very sensitive works. This is a sculpture which I created. It's kind of a portrait of Souza, and it's the same sculpture which I have painted in 3 different ways. And I think Souza would be very happy with this, because Souza himself never created a portrait. But in this portrait, if you see the front of the portrait and the back of the portrait, both are Souza-ish. We took this portrait in many places in Saligaon, and it was truly fulfilling what the curator proposed, that taking Souza back to his village Saligaon. We took the sculpture in the cemetery in Saligaon, to the church in Saligaon, in the fields, and we intend to take Souza in many houses too. These are works of Kedar Dhundu. Kedar is an artist who engages with a lot of violence, pain, brutality. In these works, what he has done is he has copied portions of Souza's work, and there's a black area painted around the circle, and these are all taken from Souza's landscape, and he is basically trying to talk about the landscape which does not exist anymore. The landscape has changed. Francis Newton Souza did a lot of landscapes of Goa. Actually, he even did them when he was in England and perhaps in New York. And he has painted many different locations in Saligaon. He has also painted the port of Vasco. Kalidas Mamal decided to create the landscape of Goa, the important areas in Goa which have a very special name, like Ganga, Choban, Karan. In every village there are some specific places with some specific names, but here he is also trying to show the human intervention in the landscape. This is Pradeep Naik. Pradeep Naik is not only a very successful artist from Goa, but he is also designing some wonderful buildings in Goa. Pradeep has also engaged with violence in his painting. He talked about how the war in Ukraine finds a place here, with the aeroplanes and bombing happening, the pollution with factories. And then at one corner, he has a portrait inspired by Souza. Sripad Gurau, he does a lot of prints. This is an etching. So on left side, you see the etching plate which he has done with Souza as a theme, and on the other side, there is a print taken from this plate. So the plate and the print are framed together. Sabah Hassan is showing one video, and there's paintings, and there are pieces of stones. There are 3 works which actually go together, and Sabah Hassan is obviously a Muslim artist, and she's trying to draw our attention to the violence which is happening to the minorities in India, especially under the present regime. So she has used a lot of Islamic iconography. She has used these pieces of stone from perhaps some demolished structures. Shailesh Dabolkar lives in Vere, and he is one of my favorite artists again from Goa. Here, he has engaged himself with especially the landscape Souza painted, the way he painted the trees, the way he painted architectural paintings. These are all inspired by Souza's architectural work. Pramod Prakash's work is also talking about violence, the communal violence. It's called Smoldering Identity, and you can see the violence in this drawings of his, and you can also see some kind of a Bajrang Dal activist with a little bit of a orange fan there. You can also see some Bajrang Dal activist with the orange flag. I think artists need to be political. Art needs to be political because art is a kind of an expression of an age, and if in the age there's a violence in politics, that violence has to be depicted by artists. If you inhale political air, you have to exhale political art. These are works of Switi Joshi. She's from Pune. She's actually an abstract artist working with paper and fire, but here she has created portraits inspired by Francis Newton Souza, and she has very intelligently used cowrie shells, because cowrie looks like a female sex organ, and she has put cowrie shells everywhere, including on his mouth. Chin Naik is a very important printmaker. He teaches in Ponda, and this is a very large woodcut he has done. Again, you see a lot of characters from Souza's works on either side, and it is his depiction of Souza, how he looked. Julio de Souza is an artist who lives near Mapsa, and he has been perpetually influenced by Souza. He has been drawing Souza-ish drawings with very powerful lines, and this is his work for this exhibition. Vitesh Naik is an artist staying in Fatoda near Margao, and he does figurative work with a lot of imagery. There are lots of narratives happening in his drawings. On this table we have letters which were written by Souza to Raza, which he preserved, and this is from the Raza Foundation archives. These are works by Uday Shanbag, and they present the violence happening in the country. A work by Siddharth Gosavi, artist from Bichulim. He normally does works with acrylic and croquils. This is a little different work inspired by Souza. These portraits are created by Chaitali Moraskar. She is wife of Santosh Moraskar. These last two works are done by my son Siddharth and my sister Harshda. It's a joint work of both of them. In these works, the portrait, the face, is a charcoal drawing by Harshda, and the rest of the work is created by Siddharth, my son, using sawdust and paint. This exhibition, Posthumous Dialogues with Francis Newton Souza, will be on at Museum of Goa until the 30th of May. Please visit and enjoy Souza and understand what great artist he was. And this is all the response of many artists to Souza's legacy.